Well, if we have several charges, here we have Q1, and here we have Q2, and here we have Q3, and let's say here we have Q of I, we have I charges. And now we want to know what is the electric field at point P. So it's independent of the test charge that I put here. You can think of it, if you want to, as the force per unit charge. You've divided out the charge. So now, I can say, what is the E field due to Q1 alone? Well, that would be, if Q1 were positive, then this might be a representation for E1. If Q2 were negative, this might be a representation for E2, pointing towards the negative charge. And if this one were negative, then I would have here a contribution E3, and so on. And now we use the superposition principle, as we did last time with Coulom's law, that the net electric field at point P, it's a vector, is E1, influence of charge Q1, plus the vector E2, plus E3, and so on. And if you have I charges, it is the sum over all I charges of the individual E vectors. Is it obvious that the superposition principle works? No. Does it work? Yes. How do we know it works? Because it's consistent with all our experimental results. So we take the superposition principle for granted, and that is acceptable, but it's not obvious. If you tell me what the electric field at this point is, which is the vectorial sum of the individual E field vectors, then I can always tell you what the force will be if I bring a charge at that location. I take any charge that I always will carry in my pocket, I take it out of my pocket, and I put it at that location. And the charge that I have in my pocket is little q. Then the force on that charge is always q times E. Doesn't matter whether q is positive, then it will be in the same direction as E. If it is negative, it will be in the opposite direction as E. If q is large, the force will be large. If q is small, the force will be small. So once you know the E field, which could be the result of very complicated charge configurations, the real secret behind the concept of an E field is that you bring any charge at that location and you know what force acts at that point on that charge.